Not until his third voyage in 1498, when he reached South America.
So technically, if we're talking about the continent of America, John Cabot beat Columbus by a full year.
He did. But Columbus gets the holiday and the fame because his voyages were the ones that triggered the immediate massive wave of Spanish colonization. Cabot's voyage was important, but it didn't spark that same immediate gold rush that Columbus's did.
Okay, myth number 3. He died poor and destitute. I have this image in my head of him as an old man, a beggar in his final years.
Also a myth. The absolute history source is very clear on this. He was not poor by any normal standard. He was actually quite wealthy from the gold he did manage to find on Hispaniola and his share of the early trade. But he was bitter.
Bitter about what, if he had money?
Bitter about the titles, about the 10% of everything. The Crown quickly realized they had signed a catastrophically bad deal once they started to understand how big this discovery was. So they started walking back his privileges, stripping him of his powers. He spent his last years in a constant state of litigation, suing the Crown for breach of contract.
And that brings us to the Book of Privileges. I looked this up, the Library of Congress description of this artifact. It's fascinating.
It's an incredible document. In 1502, before his fourth and final voyage, he could feel the walls closing in on him. So he gathered notaries and judges, and he compiled every single document, every letter, every royal promise the king and queen had ever made to him.
And he had them all copied.
He had them copied and bound into these beautiful books. It's basically a scrapbook of you owe me.
A legal mixtape of grievances.
Exactly. He sent copies to the Bank of St. George in Genoa for safekeeping. He carried it around with him like a weapon. It shows a man who was completely obsessed with his status. He wasn't wandering the streets begging for bread. He was wandering the courts begging for respect and authority.